Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is also Chris, and this is MMA for you. We're gonna be doing our post-fight analysis for Strikeforce Rockhold versus Kennedy. What did you think of the fight card, man?
I thought it was an exciting fight card. However, most of the fights ended in a unanimous decision today, so quite a bit of a grind for most of the fighters, but definitely a couple of very exciting fights, and we're going to go over that in detail with you guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah, even though some of these fights went to decision, in my opinion, a good amount of them were still exciting fights. There were lulls in action, and a couple of them, but overall, it wasn't like that, except for maybe the Healy fight or like the Couture fight. There wasn't too much like grind, lay on top of the guy, type of stuff. There was a good amount of stand-up, too, in a lot of these fights. And we'll definitely get into it right now. Let's get started, huh?
Let's do it.
Okay, Luke Rockhold beat Tim Kennedy by unanimous decision. In my opinion, the story of the fight really was that Tim Kennedy, he kind of has rudimentary stand-up. He would get a couple shots in Rockhold, but otherwise, he definitely looked for the takedown a lot of times and became a bit predictable about it. What do you think about the fight?
I think you're completely correct. I thought Luke Rockhold was holding back a little bit, and his striking percentage was down quite a bit today. So, I had higher hopes for him, but he managed to pull it out in a very blue-collar fashion, and he still retains the title. So I guess that's what's important.
Yeah, well, fortunately we picked this. We picked Rockhold to win. As far as picks go, out of the 9 fights, I got 8 of them correct.
You gotta let everyone know.
Yeah,
right?
the only one I missed was the Masvidal versus Wilcox fight,
which I got.
But otherwise I got all the other ones correct. One thing he did mention though was that I think he was too worried about defending the takedowns as well. So he threw a lot of ones. Just a straight left here, a kick there. He didn't really throw a lot of combinations. Here's a question. How do you think these two guys would fare in the UFC? Where do you think skill-wise they'd be? Top 10, top 15? What do you think?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. What do you think?
Rockhold top 10, Kennedy top 15. Rockhold he still has a lot of work he needs to do. There's some positions he got himself in that I was like, how did he let him take your back, or like he'd go for like he'd try and take the other guy's back in ill-advised ways. His striking is good for sure. And he uses his reach well. I wish he threw a little more combinations, but I understand why he didn't, because he was going for the takedown. I feel he was headhunting a little too much. Otherwise, he is a solid fighter, strong defense, really tall, good stand-up, great reach. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's actually, despite what I was saying, it's actually very strong. I think he can be a top 10 guy. He's definitely solid enough. I mean, he's just, he's a Rockhold, But he's a good fight, well-rounded enough, and still young. And considering how little fights he has, he does really well. Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
Kennedy, he'd be a little more towards the mid, probably higher mid. He has good grappling. His stand-up still needs some work. He'd be annoying for a lot. He'd bug a lot of guys in the middleweight division, though, regardless. Okay, let's get on to the next fight, man. This one's cool. Nate the Great Marquardt beat Tyrone T. Woodley. Oh, yeah. I did it. Actually, back to Rockhold Kennedy, I kept missing, who I think they should fight next. And I think Rockhold should fight, and this is not saying, this is considering that I don't think UFC fighters are going to go into Strikeforce. I think Rockhold should fight Lorenz Larkin next. As far as Kennedy goes, He already fought Robbie Lawler. Maybe like Derek Brunson, win or lose against Jacare, or maybe even Jardine. Kennedy Gracie would actually be pretty neat as well, but it's tough to say if it'd be neat, but I think Gracie needs a lot more work. Okay, now the next fight. Nate Marquardt beat Tyron Woodley by knockout, elbows and punches in the 4th round. What do you think about that, man?
I think clearly the fight of the night, the most exciting fight of the night, in my opinion. Obviously, you correctly picked this one. Choosing Nate the Great Marquardt. Obviously my pick was Tyron Woodley, but yeah, I mean, it looks like Nate Marquardt is he's back in top form. So.
Yeah, speaking of top form, I mean, this is a guy who made his first official weight cut to 170 and into an MMA bout. I hear he's actually cut to 170 correctly before, but not actually done fought, So, but also he's coming off at such a long layoff, and one thing that was really surprising was his cardio and just his lack of ring rust. Yeah, were you surprised by that?
By Nate's lack of ring rust? Yeah, I mean his cardio looked good. I think he's back on top of his game. So
what do you think of that final sequence of elbows and punches?
Yeah, that was deadly. I initially chose Woodley, so as I was watching that, I was just thinking to myself, I don't know, it looked painful, but hats off to Nate Marquardt. That was a great combination at the end, and yeah, I mean that. Most exciting fight of the night, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. One thing that, speaking of exciting, too, it was actually a pretty relatively competitive fight. I mean, Woodley dropped Marquardt on, 2 occasions. Almost actually finishing, I think, in the 2nd or 3rd round. One thing that really shows here, to me, is that Tyron Woodley's approach to fighting in his last couple fights finally caught up to this loss. What I mean to say is, if you look at the Andre Galvo fight, he showed good striking, and after that he just started to mainly use a lot of wrestling in the cage and top control. Well, if you're not utilizing your striking that you may have practiced in the gym, you're not really improving your striking. And I think that was one of the biggest problems here is he dropped, I remember one time he dropped him and went to wrestling. And it's like, dude, you've been wrestling your opponents for so long. It's like, you made that 2-second nature and you haven't gotten it to the point where the striking, where you're comfortable with your striking in the cage because you don't use it enough. So you always revert to wrestling, even when you had the guy wobbled. I mean, I think it just caught up to him. There's there's overuse of wrestling and pretty much lay and pray. I think it just caught up to him because he developed this wrestle in the cage, and there's I hit him good with a clean shot. Let's wrestle. Well, right? You know what I mean? You remember that, right?
Definitely.
And it didn't work against Marquardt, who was the much bigger fighter here, who had better cardio. The cardio, too, for Woodley did not look good. I mean, obviously, that flurry he had that almost finished the fight could have definitely cost him. But I was starting to notice cardio issues relatively early on. So that's the thing. I think Woodley's going to definitely come back from this. There's some pretty good fights for him, he's fought a good amount of the division, but he can fight a Tyler Stinson, who just lost to Jordan Mean. Or, I know Roger Bowling is going to fight pretty tough guy, actually. And I want to say he's going to fight Safadine or something like that. So he can get one of those guys. Yeah, I think it is Safadine. versus Roger Bowling. Marquardt will probably get the winner of that fight, possibly. Maybe he can get Jordan Main, Marquardt. With Strikeforce, you got to think differently, because it's like if you get just like one win. Oh, you can fight Jason High. That's another guy. If you just got one win, two, one, all you need is like one win to get a title shot. Sometimes in Strikeforce, there's not a lot of guys on the roster. So I mean, Jordan Mean just is on a one fight win streak. But guess what? There aren't too many options here. So I think the winner of Safdie Bowling. I'm pretty sure those two are fighting each other. Right? Could be wrong. Yeah, this was brutal. I loved it when he hit him with 3 elbows, a left hook, and he already went down from the left hook, and an uppercut that just removed his head, pretty much just removed his head from his body, man.
Vicious.
As he was going down, it was just so... you could just watch that all day, man. I liked Marquardt here. He showed well-rounded skills. He was cutting off the cage very well, making Woodley back up, but not over-committing in strikes so that he'd get taken down. Good stuff from Marquardt. I really like what I saw from him here. Okay, next fight after that, Ogre Gracie beat Keith Jardine by unanimous decision. Your thoughts on the Dean of Mean? I know you're not a fan.
Yeah, no, I think it played out exactly as I had anticipated. Keith Jardine, he got taken down with ease, and I don't know, he looked really bloody the entire fight. So I don't know.
Yes.
One-sided.
You mentioned the bloody part, and it's actually something about Ogre Gracie that's really interesting. If the guy really wanted to, I think he can have a really vicious ground and pound game. He's really tall and lanky, and I think he can really use elbows really well. He showed it against Jardine here. He kind of trapped his arms in a way that got him clean elbows from the mount. I mean, he used his jiu-jitsu to lock up his limbs so he can land, just clean elbows to his face that were just brutal. All of them were just hitting clean, cutting Jardine up bad. Ogre Gracie, though, he needs to work on his cardio. It's still not that good, but it is his first cut to 185. The third round, he is visibly gassed, but Jardine didn't look that great either. I mean, there's the second round, he just kind of rushes him and throws punches, and Ogre Gracie just gets his takedown with great ease. I like what I see from Gracie. Stand-up still needs a lot of work. He needs to keep that chin down, too. I'm thinking he should probably get someone like the winner of Amagov. I know he's fighting. It's I forgot who he's fighting. I think he's fighting Keith Berry or something like that. Maybe the winner of that fight. Jardine, 2 losses in a row. Looked bad in both of them. He lost to Rockhold before this, Maybe cut him from Strikeforce. What do you think? Or do you just keep him because he's Jardine?
He needs to go. He
can fight Robbie Lawler.
he could, but I don't know. I'm just not entertained by him anymore, and he doesn't really have.
Yeah, he doesn't have much.
He's just not very interesting to watch. But I will say Roger Gracie's the use of his elbows tonight was particularly effective. Yeah. So I really like that, I hope Roger continues to do well.
Yeah, cool. Next fight after that, we have Lorenz Larkin beating Robbie Lawler by unanimous decision. This was an interesting fight. It could get, I don't know if I'll use the word back and forth because it really wasn't. But Lawler did get his hits that even in the beginning, that gave Larkin the stanky leg. After the fight, Larkin went on his knees and begged Dana White that Strikeforce fighters get bonuses like fight of the night, knockout of the night, and I think they should. I really think they should. Marquardt would have probably gotten both knockout of the night and fight of the night, in my opinion. Jason High got the only only submission here with the guillotine choke in 26 seconds. So he'd probably get submission of the night. I like Lorenz Larkin to fight Luke Rockhold next. He's undefeated. He has some pretty good takedown defense, a bully in the clinch, and his stand-up is pretty strong as well. What do you think, man?
My pick was Robbie Lawler on this one, and obviously I didn't get that one correct. Hats off to you. You accurately predict this one. Lawler. I mean, he looked good right off the bat, but I guess he just allowed Larkin to get back into the fight, and I don't know. He just wasn't aggressive enough the entire fight, and the better man won. So congratulations.
Yeah, man. The thing with Lawler, there were times where he was just like covering up. He wasn't also following up a lot of times when he should have. He went to like clinching and wrestling at times and went like, I don't know why. That's not his strength. It's very odd. So yeah, the thing with Lawler, he'll win one, lose one, win one, maybe win two, lose one. He's kind of streaky right now. It's always fun to watch. He's in fun fights. I like this fight. It was a fun fight. Larkin looked good at 185. Didn't look tired at all. He also has this really explosive way of fighting where all of a sudden he's just kind of whatever. And he bursts. He goes into like these bursts of just like combination. Then he's out. Then it just kind of settles in the groove. And then this crazy combination goes back to a groove. So it's really cool seeing Larkin fight, and I want to see him fight Luke Rockhold next. I think that's really probably the best viable guy. He's he's an entertaining guy, has a aesthetically pleasing style in the cage, has some charisma for sure. I'd like to see Rockhold Larkin next. Okay, on to prelims. Pat Bam Bam Healy most likely got himself a title shot as he beat Mizuto Hirota by unanimous decision. Anything you want to say about this fight, man?
No, I actually missed this fight, but I don't know. Congratulations to Pat Healy. Yeah, it does look like he'll be getting a shot at the title, and I hope he wins.
I want to see Gilbert Melendez beat Healy, to be honest. But one thing that's really noticeable about Healy is his stand-up, especially his defensive stand, really isn't that good. He's getting outstruck bad by Hirota to the point where like Hirota actually got him with a 4-punch combination, all power punches. Hirota was even initiating clinches and even got takedowns. I thought the 30-27 scorecard was BS. 29-28 sounds about right for Pat Healy. 30-27 is like, what are you watching type of thing, though. Not too big of a deal, but I thought Hirota got that first round. He was getting the clinches against the cage, even got a takedown in there, beating him up on the feet. Healy managed to get his game going, and like especially the second and third round. I think Pat Healy's probably going to fight Gilbert Melendez next. They even interviewed him, later on in the show. So Hirota actually impressed me a lot, though. Okay, next round after that, Ryan Couture beat Joe Duarte by split decision. Did you get to see this one, man?
I actually didn't, but I'm very happy that Ryan Couture won. And why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened?
Ryan Couture looked like the bigger fighter here. Duarte looked pretty good, but gassed around the third. Really gassed, especially around the third. He'd managed to get a couple takedowns, but Couture would get takedowns on him as well. Striking-wise, Ryan Couture still needs some work. They fight at lightweight. As far as next, if you want to get Duarte, Hirota, Couture, there's guys like Nunes he can fight. It's pretty high up there. I wouldn't give him a Thompson or Masvidal though. Who else? Is that many people I get? John maybe like Isaac Valley Flag versus Ryan Couture would be pretty interesting. Even though I think Valley Flag would win. There's some fights for Couture for sure, but like I can't really think of great guys for him to fight. But yeah, that's pretty much how the fight went. I don't think it should have been a split decision. I thought it was a clear 29-28 unanimous decision for Ryan Couture, to be perfectly honest. Okay, next one after that. You got this one right, and I got this one wrong.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Right.
As Jorge Masvidal beat Justin Wilcox by split decision. What do you think about this one, man?
I don't know. I kind of wish I would have seen this fight, but I was backing Jorge Masvidal as my last prediction, and I'm glad he won. Why don't you give us some details on what transpired?
With Masvidal, he dropped Wilcox really early on, almost got the finish. He was hitting him with flying knees, even just more like a lot of times. Showed some really good takedown defense and ability to get back to his feet. One thing that I was not fond of was that Masvidal was kind of stuck in counterpunching mode, and he allowed Wilcox to get off first a lot of times, especially around the second and third round. I think Masvidal will probably fight someone like a Josh Thompson next. Who else is out there? Maybe a Koros Fedor. So yeah, one of those two guys. Most likely is next for Masvidal. This is now 2 losses in a row for Wilcox, but he's a really good fighter. You can give him a guy like a Hero Todd. That'd be pretty cool. Or some other guys in the division. Yeah, next one after that, Jordan Mean beat Tyler Stinson by unanimous decision. So the fight really was Jordan Mean outboxing Tyler Stinson. He showed really good movement and just overall good defense. Whereas Stinson he was always in the fight, showed a good chin, but he just could not do anything about the boxing of Jordan Mean. He was getting he's getting so many crosses, that power punches there. And I liked what I saw from Jordan Mean. He was one of the recipients of, getting laying prayed by Tyron Woodley. He's a really good fighter. He's only 22 years old, man.
Oh, wow.
You know what his first fight was?
What was his first fight? Who was it
against? Against Roy McDonald. He's going to fight BJ Penn pretty soon. With Jordan Mean, I'd like to see him fight Tarek Safadine, maybe a Bobby Volker. You can maybe even give him Jason High, who beat Nate Moore by guillotine choke. They didn't show this fight on the Showtime Extreme.
Sounds like he's got quite a bright future ahead of him.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and of course, like I said, Jason High beat Nate Moore by submission, a guillotine choke. 26 seconds in the first round. They did not televise that fight.
You got High and I got Moore.
Yeah.
So you got it right.
Yep. Gotta
stop smoking pot too.
I don't smoke pot.
I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for my post-fight our post-fight analysis for Strikeforce Rockhold versus Kennedy. If you have any comments, just leave them below. You got anything else to say, my man?
I don't know. I really enjoyed that Marquardt Woodley fight, and what do we have to look forward to in terms of MMA for the rest of this month?
Yeah, this coming Saturday is UFC 149. You also have a Bellator card on either this Friday or next Friday that has the Bellator debut of Paul Santex Daly, and you have the welterweight final of Brian Baker versus Kyle Amasu, among some other good fights on there as well. I honestly forgot what the other fights were, but there are some good ones. I think some light heavyweight tournament qualifier fights are in there. So I know on the undercard, Killer B Ben Saunders is fighting on that card as well. Invicta FC in 2 weeks. Really looking forward to that one.
Who's that really attractive fighter? What's her name again?
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
She's fighting next month against Sarah Kaufman in San Diego. So in mid-August, you can look forward to that. There's actually going to have 3 female fights there, Jermaine de Randamie and Yamanaka are returning. Misha Tate's returning to action against Julie Kedzie. So that's going to be good. UFC on Fox 4. Shogun versus Vera. Machida Bader's on that card. So there's some good MMA to look forward to for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have predictions for all that, man.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll do better, and I don't think you could do any better than you did tonight, right? What, did you get 8 out of 9?
Yeah, 8 out of 9.
That's unheard of.
No, I wanted perfect.
You want perfection?
I'm just kidding.
I mean, maybe I'll take your picks, next time. Definitely.
Cool, man.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.